Here we go again. Another rumor in boxing around a potential fight taking place, being denied, and a series of rumors being rejected around Terence Crawford, what he's going to do next. And fighters like Errol, Spence, Chris Eubank, Erickson Lubin, and Jermell Charlo. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. I think that I was right in what I believed was going to take place with Terence Crawford, and I'm going to stay with this because I do believe at the end of the day, we're going to wind right back up with the same rematch clause with Terence and Errol that we were talking about before. This, I believe even more strongly now after a statement was made by Brian McIntyre to Ness of the Boxing Voice in an interview that they did after a Pro Box event. Before I get into the details, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter, thank you for treating me right. Greatly appreciate it. Let's get into this because, man, the merry-go-round goes round and round and round. Apparently, several rumors around Terence Crawford have been denied by Brian McIntyre, who is the trainer for Terence Crawford. The specific rumors that were denied were, one, a fight between Terence Crawford and the European or the British fighter, Chris Eubank. If you're not familiar who Chris Eubank is, he is Chris Eubank Jr., son of the famous British middleweight from the early 1990s, who famous rivalry with Conor Benn's father, Nigel Benn. Chris Eubank had put out a flyer that anybody can make nowadays on Photoshop with a picture of Terence Crawford and he on it. This was after people had been reporting that the two would be fighting. Brian McIntyre, who's the trainer of Chris Eubank and the trainer of Terence Crawford, said it's not true. Said that he has not heard anything about that. He doesn't believe that's true. And he was further asked about another offer that was supposed to have been made to him by the PBC, him being Terence Crawford, an offer by the PBC for two fights with Erickson Lubin. One would be Erickson Lubin, and the second would be Jermell Charlo. He said that both of those neither one of those are true either. At least he had not heard them. And he talks to Terence Crawford every day. He would have heard it. These things are not true. And to his knowledge, that the PBC hadn't offered him anything, any type of fight or any fight that he knew of. And Terence Crawford was currently preparing to participate in a golf tournament in Florida. That's what Terence Crawford is doing, preparing for a golf tournament. Now, what does this mean? First, one of those things could be true. Could be true. And the reason I say that is because Brian McIntyre is clearly no longer acting as the manager of Terence Crawford. Because if he was still acting as the manager or the primary negotiator like he was when he was fighting with Top Rank, then he would know the deals. At least that's what Bomac used to sound like when he would talk about the deal that Terence Crawford got when he re-signed with Top Rank. He would say something specifically about that deal, right? But this time he's saying, man, I haven't heard anything about it because he's not called me. right? Or Terence has not called me. So maybe it's the creative artists, I think, maybe the agents that represent him now. Maybe it's creative artists that is actually doing the negotiation. So these things may be being talked about, but Brian McIntyre may not be party to it. That is possible. However, what is most likely is that they're just keeping them, and this is what I think is going to happen. They're just being quiet about it. And because of all of the other stuff going on around in boxing and the very, very bad negotiations and drama that took place last time for the Errol Spence Terence Crawford fight that took place in July of 2023. There was a lot of drama and a lot of back and forth in the media and all kind of wildness that went around and probably made that a lot harder negotiation to get done than it needed to be because people were carrying them out in the public, which means that all of these things are on the table. I think still the most likely one, because number one, Terence Crawford still not dropped those belts that he has at 147. He has not dropped the WBO. He has not dropped the WBA. He's not dropped the WBC. He was stripped of the IBF, but that's it. And those sanctioning bodies have not done anything. They've not ordered any fights. They've not given him any, hey, man, what are you going to do or we're going to leave? So he's still at 147. So the fact that Floyd Mayweather Jr. and other people said it looked like he was having a hard time getting the Errol Spence fight doesn't mean that fight is not going to be on the table for him, and that's not what he ends up doing. Because I'm pretty sure Errol Spence, that's what Errol Spence is going to want to do. And Errol Spence is not retiring. He's back in camp or he's back training. He's very much acting like he wants to continue. He wants to continue fighting. So I would expect to see something go on in that particular fight. It's still probably the most likely route for Terence Crawford. The best route for Terence Crawford, in my opinion, though, is to fight Jaron Ennis if the Errol Spence Jr. fight doesn't go. I think that is a fight that is a big fight, a fight that I think a lot of people would like to see, and one where, it won't be something that leaves an empty feeling in the minds of boxing fans for decades to come. Kind of like what happened with Aaron Pryor and Sugar Ray Leonard. A lot of times people say that Sugar Ray Leonard ducked Aaron Pryor, but I don't think that that's the case. Aaron Pryor never fought at 147. He would never got in contention for the belts. And Sugar Ray Leonard was fighting everybody else. So, I think that's a little bit overboard when people say that. But still, there's still that thought that, man, I wonder what would have really happened if the two of those guys had fought. And Jaron Ennis looked like he really is that type of guy, man. There's a whole lot of people doing some slow singing and flower bringing for Terence Crawford, for Jaron Ennis's career, which to me kind of mind-boggling for Jaron Ennis's career, which is kind of mind-boggling to me. But, I guess that's the subject for another video. Anyway, so we don't know what's going on with Terence Crawford. Like with most of these rumors that are in boxing, you can take them with a grain of salt because most likely they're going to wind up not being true unless one of the principal parties to it really behave in a manner, or both principal parties act like, yeah, this is really going to happen. In the case of when Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia was originally announced, and in the case of Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin, and when, even though their fight has not been officially announced yet, the way that they're both behaving about it, and their camps are behaving about it, I think that that's at the point where you can start saying, okay, yeah, but we're just waiting for an official announcement. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.